like taking vaccines for
Yeah.
example, there's obviously research from a lot of doctors that
Yeah.
say this is
Mm-hmm.
good for you. This
Yeah.
helps. This
Yeah.
prevents. I mean, we don't have polio anymore in the U.S. because of vaccines.
That's a myth, actually.
The polio, or that we
Yeah.
don't have polio anymore.
Yeah. Well, if you can look into polio at the right sites, you'll see that polio actually was a chemical runoff of agricultural farms into into lakes, well, like ponds and lakes, and then people swimming in these ponds. Like, who was it? FDR. He swam in a pond who had been that had a lot of runoff on it. The next day, you can look into a story. The next day, he woke up. He couldn't really move. He had a headache, and neurological damage was done from swimming in that pond. So that's what polio essentially. I know. Just go dive down that rabbit hole and kind of come up with a whole new perspective on what polio is. So Jason Christoff has a ton of material on that, in jasonchristoph.com. Can find that. Yeah.
That's a lot to unpack.
I know. I know.
But what about all the other people that got polio? I mean, I definitely, I wouldn't argue that swimming in toxic waste will have its effects, but
yeah.
I mean, there were a lot of people that got polio.
Yeah. Well, a lot of them were vaccinated too. So that gave you polio.
The vaccine gave you polio. What about the ones that got it before the vaccine?
Those would be the people that most likely were in those soups of the toxic soup.
Of waste.
Yeah.
A
lot of it was the vaccine, though.
Where do you get that information from? That's online.
Go look.
But how do you? Because there's a lot of people online that lie about information.
Right. I know. So, it's like you have to have trusted material, trusted sources.
Mm-hmm.
And I do trust Jason Christoff.
But what makes you trust that and not the research that counters that?
Yeah. Well, it's all the people that end up dying for the truth to get out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And then you have to look at how big this is. It's a giant, huge system. Once you step back and look at it. It's a system of control. It's a belief system of control. It's just so big. It's the deep state is very intricate and very, very broad, and it's covering all of our major agencies.
Do you believe there have ever been actual viruses? Do you believe in viruses?
Viruses. It's fun. There's a chapter in the book, The Contagion Myth, that talks about viruses and what they are and what they have been explained as being are exosomes. And you can look up. There's people who tout this, but of course they're shunned by mainstream. But exosomes are like they're actually helpers for our cells. And it talks a lot about resonance as well. So we're energetic beings. And so energetically speaking, since we're all energy, we all have these energy fields, like this protects my field from any harmful energies coming into it to harm me. So, but we have the same field around us that if we're in resonance with another person. So you're like having a detox. You're having like a natural detox. You're having like a cold or a flu that no antibiotics can help for, right? You just go for it. You're going through the process of detoxifying your system, and that's known as like the flu. And so if I were to come into contact or be around your field, my body could recognize, much like, how trees talk to each other or flowers talk to each other, like mushrooms talk to each other. Like they all have this intricate communication system. So we also have that, but it's all energy. We can't see. So there's all the resonance. So if I'm in resonance with what you're exhibiting, my body will then say, yeah, that's right. I want to do that too. So then I'll then have this flu virus come on, but it's actually just me detoxifying all this stuff out of my system. Like you triggered that response within me. So, he in the book talks about women menstruating together. And, it's not contagious to have your menstruation at the same time. You don't give someone their menstruation, but yes, you do. You're like your resonance can, if you're around a group of women long enough, you're going to all menstruate around the same time, all the same times. And that's what happens. It's really cool. But anyways, that's how it's kind of, I'm not doing a very good job explaining it, but the book does a marvelous job to explain it scientifically.
Is there science backing that?
Oh, yeah.
Because, I mean, I'm sure we've all been around people who have been sick and not gotten sick.
Totally. Because your body didn't resonate with it. You were healthier. Like, you didn't have to. Your immune system was fine, you know? But when we feel like we have like these toxic loads all the time, and if you're around someone and you resonate with, yes, I'm going to do that same thing now too. It's a beneficial thing because it helps us detoxify our load. So it doesn't feel good, but it's something that's necessary for us to remain healthy.
How do you look at it when, as a scientist, you can pull out a viral load and look at it under a microscope and see and say, okay, this is the flu, this is that viral load, or okay, this is COVID.
But they haven't. With COVID, they have not.
With COVID, okay, but they can do that with they've done that with other diseases.
You would think, but in the book, it's funny just to refer to one book, but like it's a load of science and it's a ton of stuff backing it up.